Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to another edition of ReWatching Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 1. Today I'm talking about Chapter 7, Feast of Feasts. In this episode, the Coven prepares for an annual ritual as Harvey takes part in a Kinkle family tradition. Sabrina grows suspicious of Lady Blackwood as well. I just finished rewatching this episode, and this is the Thanksgiving episode, but it's Witches' Thanksgiving kind of, where they're taking part in a little bit of ritual cannibalism, as it were. And it's an interesting episode because I like that it dives into this kind of wacky kind of, witch lore occult thing with, this cannibalistic feast that Sabrina's totally against. I'm glad she is. I'm sure we're all glad it is. This wouldn't be much of an episode if she just was down to munch down on some other person. But it's really interesting to see that her and Prudence are the two that are, paired up in this episode, to see, especially since they've had this kind of up and down relationship. At first they're enemies, and then they helped each other, and then they try to kill each other. It's a whole thing. Or I should say Prudence tried to kill Sabrina. She didn't really do anything back. But the point is, I really like those two pairing up, them kind of bonding a little bit, starting to see each other's point of view a little bit more, and then in the end, Sabrina technically saving Prudence's life in the end, which I'm happy about because I like Prudence's character. She's a sassy one. I just found this one really interesting for that. There's that concept. So one of the interesting parts in this one is we get a little bit more background on the families of each of the characters, or each of Sabrina's friends, those characters. We learn about their family backgrounds. Roz coming from a line of people who had actually tattled on some witches, and that's why they're cursed with blindness, and now they have this ability called the Cunning, which is almost like telepathy, but not quite. So that's a cool element that they added in. I remember when I first was watching the show, I didn't expect that to be a thing. I just, the fact that they add a little bit more, they had a little magic into her friends' lives a little bit, but not in just they're witches, but like in different ways. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed learning that, at least. We also learned a little bit about Susie's background, her family background. One of her ancestors was this lady who was a pirate and something else. I can't remember exactly, but they seem to be bonding, and I think that extends into the next episode a little bit further, because she kind of saw like a vision of this ancestor, so I'm sure that's going to play out a little bit more. I can't remember exactly how that plays out. And then the other thing we learned about one of the friends is obviously Harvey, and Harvey's, family background of being witch hunters, which brings up a lot of strain between Sabrina and Prudence and the sisters, because obviously the sisters, they're not so happy about this news, and they said at one point they have a certain rule about witch hunters, which is they kill them before they can kill them. That was an interesting little thing to throw in. I'm pretty sure that's from the comics, as well as I'm pretty sure that was somehow in the Sabrina the Teenage Witch TV show from the 90s or early 2000s, the other Sabrina show. So I like that they added that element in, and that Harvey is, completely different from his family, and that he's, and they show this via a hunting trip, that being the family tradition, the Kinkle family tradition. I just thought that was an interesting element that they added in, and plays into the end of this episode where, the sisters decide to take out the couple Kinkle brothers. So that's how this episode kind of ended off, and we go into next episode finding out what happens. I know something happens to Harvey's brother, but I think Harvey's protected because of a spell Sabrina put on him, but we'll talk about that next episode in the next video. That's my overall thoughts about this episode of Sabrina. Sure, let me know in the comments below what you thought about this episode. Thanks again for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Have a good one.